Welcome to the League One recap from Not the Top 20 podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. What a mad slate in League One. George, the top three all win. Yeah. The next three all lose, 4th, 5th, 6th. 7th, 8th, 9th, all win. To close the gap. Let's go through it from the top. Doncaster 0, Cardiff City 4. Cardiff went into this game having lost 5-2 at Argyle in midweek. How would they respond? Well, they're also starting this game without their 4 top scorers this season. The 4 players that had scored combined exactly half of their league goals this season. That's Salek, that's Kellyman, that's Willock, that's Robinson. The latter 2 were on the bench, the first 2 out the squad. It doesn't matter. Goal scorers as individuals are overrated. When you're a great team that creates and scores goals through being a great team, personnel barely matters, right? And that's what Cardiff are. But also, specifically in this instance, it helps if you have a phenom playing centre-back. And that's what Dylan Lawler is. Dylan Lawler, come on, Dylan Lawler, this is so exciting. We have basically haven't seen him since the first week of January when he picked up an injury. And I've missed him, to be honest. I've missed watching him play because he's pretty box office as centre-backs go. The fact that he's so young adds to that. The fact that he seemingly has no fear in possession adds to that. There is just no young defender like Dylan Lawler in the Championship or League One or League Two at the moment. So let's start with the headline, the second goal, in which Dylan Lawler picks up the ball 10 yards outside his own box, and his first touch is the start of a dribble. Lawler doesn't take a touch, look up and work out what to do and slow things down. He already knows that he's going on an adventure. So off he goes and he dribbles past the first line of Doncaster's fairly shoddy press, and he keeps going and he keeps going and he keeps going past a couple more until he gets to Doncaster's box. He sends Bailey the wrong way because someone made a very good run off the ball to drag Bailey away, and Lawler just passes it into the net. It's absurd. It's playground stuff. George always talks about loving goals that you don't see very often. Well, how many times since we've been doing the pod in 10 years has a centre-back just dribbled forward from the edge of his box and smashed in? It's crazy. It's crazy. There's some pretty poor defending in there for sure. But there's also body feints to throw defenders off balance. There's good close control. There's genuine skill. There's carrying it at speed with confidence. And as I mentioned, there were some good off-ball runs by his teammates which dragged defenders out of position as well. So just sensational, incredible, really, really incredible. But let's rewind, because the first goal as well, by the time I watched the highlights of this game, I had already seen Lawler's goal a number of times. I didn't know that for the first goal, Lawler gets the ball on halfway. His first touch is the start of a dribble to carry it forward. And then he looks up, Robertson's made a nice run from deep, and he just lifts one over the back line straight onto Robertson's chest, who finishes to unlock the game. And Donny had started well. Cardiff were not in the ascendancy until Lawler unlocked things, and then Lawler scored an absurd goal to make it 2-0. It is amazing. It's amazing. We should celebrate this stuff, whether you're a Cardiff fan or a neutral. We've got to love this. A lot of top talents, 20 years and under, are already at elite academies because they get hoovered up when they're 4. And so I love it when someone comes through and there is just something different about them. And I'm really confident that's Dylan Lawler. I'm intrigued to see if Bellamy starts him in any of Wales's World Cup playoff games. I wonder if he may go for experience, particularly as Bosnia have Big Ed and Dzeko up front, and Lawler's not proven in terms of his defensive chops, but Bellamy's clearly loves him for what he can do on the ball. So does Barry Murphy. Why wouldn't you when he can do stuff like that? It's a great win, 4-0, having lost in midweek. It's just a fantastic response. Some team they are, Cardiff, 11 clear of third now with a game in hand. Ashford and Callum Robinson scoring the third and the fourth. Took their chances well. Donny, they were pretty wasteful, but anything Cardiff can do, Lincoln can do too, George. They are 10 points clear of third with a game in hand, and they also won 4-0 at home to Blackpool.
Yeah, you kind of run out of superlatives for these two. Incredible for Cardiff to do that. And Lincoln, the goals may not have been quite as dramatic. And, when we're talking about individuals, I guess, at Lincoln, there probably aren't going to be many who are going to have the career that Dylan Lawler has, but that doesn't make them just an unbelievably effective and dominant team in League One, and that's what they are now. And having, spoken in the past about them not necessarily being as dominant as you'd hope for a team to be who are at the top end of the table. That's changed. And this iteration of Lincoln that we're seeing at the moment are the best iteration of the season by miles. If you look at their last 5 league games, they've scored 4 goals in 3 of them. Like, this, and I heard Skabala say in an interview the other day, he was like, yeah, people will say we're a defensive team. I'm not saying that. You're a free scoring team who also keep clean sheets. Like it's a potent mix. McGrandles gets the first from a set piece, kind of on the line to make it 1-0 in a pretty dominant first half performance where Blackpool didn't really get near them, and then they're clinical in the second half. Street with a really nicely taken goal to make it 2-0, and then Jeffries and Ryan One. Although I think the One is a cross that gets deflected in, but he seems to have been credited with the goal, which is fine.
You're the only one that thinks that.
What's true?
No, it was just a pun on his name. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. You're the only One that thinks that. You're the One one who thinks that.
Yeah.
And so, what more can we say about Lincoln beyond the fact that one of the best run clubs in the country, with one of the most, who invested a lot of faith and time in Michael Skabala, who showed himself early on to be a very good coach, and now reaping the rewards of that. It's great to see, and I'd be amazed if they're not a championship club next season, given the points gap between them and Bolton now. And what I'd quite like to happen is that these two just have a proper title race, because people normally,
mate,
what,
Saturday,
12:30. Yeah, exactly. I know,
Cardiff,
this is it.
Lincoln. Is it too early for that game?
But often, yeah, maybe. But often, and I completely get this, if you speak to Borough fans and Ipswich fans, Millwall fans, Coventry fans at the moment, maybe Coventry's a bit different now because they're kind of almost there, but it's promotion that matters the most. And I get that, but as soon as promotion's confirmed, then the title race really does matter. And I'd love it to get that way between these two, and we're kind of going that way, albeit, as you say, at least one of the Master drop points on Saturday, which I guess might offer a bit of hope to the chasing pack.
What feels mental to me is that there are always individuals to look at in any big win and in any team that's in good form. But with Lincoln, if you chop the head off Freddie Draper,
I don't want to do that,
who got injured when he was in good form, then Rob Street sprouts up. And there's Ryan One as well. And if you, as happened here, Jack Moylan, who's been probably the league's best individual player over the last 2 months, he came off 55th minute, and I'm hoping that's not going to rule him out of the game on the weekend. Dom Jeffries came on, who's incredibly unheralded, and basically did an impersonation of Jack Moylan.
Yeah.
And did exactly what Moylan does, and had a hand in a lot of those the late flurry of goals as well. It's pretty remarkable.
But it's across the team as well. You look at Adam Reach, he's been a massive signing for them. He signed on deadline day, so they had the first month basically without him being in the team. It feels like the Lincoln team from the start of the season and the Lincoln team we're seeing now are quite different teams in terms of personnel and star players, but they're kind of improved as the season's gone on. Got Varfolo Maeve as well, who's come into the team later on and been a revelation. So impressive. I mean, we've got to talk about Blackpool. I'm afraid, Blackpool fans, although I'm sure not many of you are listening off the back of what happened at Lincoln, because you might go down. And it felt like whenever it was appointed and there was the initial upturn in results, like they probably weren't going to go down. But this incredibly expensively assembled squad with loads of League One experience and lots of quality is still playing really badly. And they're currently 1 point off Leyton Orient, who are in 21st. But Orient have a game in hand on them. So I got this wrong when I did this the other day, but I'm pretty sure that means on PPG that they would be in the bottom 4.
Your big Achilles heel is working
maths.
out PPG live on a pod.
Oh, no, any fast maths.
Quick maths
is proving to be difficult for me this time. I'm tired. But Blackpool's next run of games is going to define their season. It's going to define Ian Everett's time as manager, because they play Wigan at home, Wimbledon away, Donny away, Port Vale at home. In part because you got 6 pointers within those, but in part also 4 games where their fans will be like, there's absolutely no reason why we can't win all of those games. And if they come away from those with a points tally of, say, 3 or 4, they are going to be in massive trouble. And Everett is going to be on pretty shaky ground. If they can get a decent points return, 7, 8, 9 or whatever else, or plus, or more than that from those 4 games, then they're probably going to be okay. It's that simple in my mind. So, a huge couple of weeks coming up for Blackpool.
On the 2nd of Feb, talking about Lincoln, I said that I wanted to get in front of a Rob Street scoring streak. So I thought he was looking pretty good. He had 3 in his last 10. I said I reckoned he'd score 3 in his next 5. 5 games since then. Guess how many goals?
How many?
3. Cardiff Lincoln, Saturday, 12:30.
Streak.
Wow.
Rob Streak.
Streak. Welcome to Streak Street.
Yeah.
That sounds like a street in Dublin where I would make some mistakes. Streak Street.
Yeah.
Exeter 1, Bolton 5. So, although Cardiff and Lincoln won by 4 goals, so did their closest challenger. I mean, I say close. If they shouted at Bolton Wanderers, Bolton would only just about hear it. That's how far back they are right now. But 5-1 winners at Exeter. Schumacher going 2 up top so he could get Johnny Kenny in the team, the highly rated youngster from Celtic, but he wanted to keep Dalby in there as well, who's done really well in the last month or two, and we saw them combine in the first half. Kenny, speed in behind, looks like his game. Dalby, occupying centre-backs, being the goal threat between the posts, the aerial threat as well. Kenny's ball across for Dalby. That is the dream as a manager when you decide to play 2 up top, is when they combine to put you ahead. Kenny, with a near-post flick from a corner for 2-0, went in off one of the Exeter defenders, but he's been given the goal. Jaden Wareham pulled one back, but it just kind of poked the bear, really. Thierry Gale, great finish into the top corner. Sissoko then came on for Gale and scored within a minute for 4-1. Nice flash from Sissoko. He's not shown anything like that consistently for Bolton, but clearly a player with lots of talent. If he could have a strong end to the season, that's going to make Bolton look really, really strong. And then Johnston made it 5-1. So for Bolton, like they have to keep winning if they want to win automatic promotion. They've got 10 points to make up to Lincoln. They've also now got a 10-point gap above 7th spot. So they're basically the only ones that can catch the top 2. There's not a huge amount of jeopardy for them below them, so they're quite an interesting. They're in an interesting scenario, Bolton, and they are a very, very good team. And you know, this was one of the few games it feels like where their dominance, as is often the case, particularly when it comes to shots and territory and dangerous attacks, was reflected in the scoreline. Exeter pretty leaky in the last couple of games. Not been a great start under Dan Green. And, you know, such is the nature of a relegation battle with 4 teams that go down. Suddenly you're like, they're only 5 points above it. And Dan Green is already going to be under quite a lot of pressure. They just, I don't want to go over the top. They just need to avoid like a long losing streak. If they can make sure they don't get like 1 point from their next 5, they almost certainly will be fine. But you've just got to be careful.
When have Wigan played Exeter twice yet? No,
that's the sort of thing I'm not going to know off the top of my head.
21st of March, Exeter go to Wigan.
Wow.
So that feels, yeah.
Wow. Called well. Maybe the biggest goal of the League One weekend, maybe one of the biggest goals of the League One season so far, was scored at the Madejski Stadium. It was Matt Ritchie's header in the 97th minute that led to Reading beating Bradford 2-1 from behind. Big consequences for the playoff battle.
So there will be Reading fans who'd have left the game against Bolton on February the 17th after 90 minutes when the game was 1-0 to Reading and missed Mason Burstow's equaliser. There would have been Reading fans at Port Vale on Saturday, the weekend before this, who'd have left the game early after 90 minutes when Reading were winning 1-0 and not seen Sharif's equaliser for Port Vale. There will have been Reading fans, and more of them, who'd have left after 90 minutes at home to Bradford, having seen a disappointingly fruitless display, like not much attacking rhythm throughout, thinking their team were about to lose 1-0 to Bradford. They win 2-1. Never leave a game early. Really interesting in terms of the players who scored the 2 goals for Reading here, because, and the celebrations show this. Paddy Lane with the first, with a really good strike. It should be like a ball dip, coming out of the sky with the tip that he hits from close range, but with his left foot really sweetly into the bottom right-hand corner. Not an easy thing to do. And then Ritchie with a brilliant header, like the way he times his run so well and gets in between the 2 centre-backs to head the ball home after Matthew Pennington had scored a good goal from range, albeit I would say Pereira, who's been exceptional for Reading this season, maybe should have done a bit better, but I'd like to see another angle before kind of confirming that. But interestingly, Ritchie has come in for some criticism from Reading fans. Paddy Lane has come in for criticism from some Reading fans, and both of them, when they score, and in particular Lane, really gives it back to the Reading fans. Like he's there, basically saying, gives it the for those who aren't watching YouTube, he makes mouths with his hands.
You're so weird. He's making a talking motion with his hands.
Thank you.
Too much talk, Reading fans. Too much talk because I've just scored the big equaliser.
Exactly. Yeah, I said I was tired. It's a moment where he's giving it back, and I looked on social media to see like what's the fallout been from this? Like, has there been? I went on Twitter, and it's a lot of Reading fans being like, "Fair enough."
Yeah,
like, I love that. Like a bit of like fight, a bit of attitude to show like he cares.
Yeah.
Which is good to see. And then Richie, who's also come in for criticism, kind of does something a bit similar, cups his ears, kicks the corner flag out of the ground in the corner. So two players, I think a lot of Reading fans probably groaned when they came off the bench. Both came off the bench in the last 10 minutes, both scoring the 2 goals. Massive for them. For Bradford, whose away form has been so poor recently, to be close to getting an important victory, but to squander that and lose the lead and lose the 3 points. I mean, they're still 7 points clear of Reading. But again, it's a game where if they win this game, it probably secures their top 6 spot. And they were so close to doing it.
Yeah. Huge swing in injury time there. You've heard of Edward Scissorhands. How about Paddy Mouth for Hands?
Yeah.
I'm interested in Reading at the moment because they are the closest team to the playoffs right now. They're 7th spot. Since Liam Richardson was appointed, they've got the 5th best record in the league. They've won exactly half of their 20 games. They've actually got the 4th best record in the league because better PPG than Peterborough.
Careful
36
doing
points.
That quickly.
No, I'm good at quick maths. They've got pretty bad or not that good underlying numbers, which is classic.
Reading
doing well. They've got a negative XG goal difference under Liam Richardson. I think anyone who's watched them and seen the goals that Jack Marriott scored knows that for a period, like Marriott's incredible finishing was kind of making the performances look better. But what's funny about this,
and they've
George,
also got another player in Lewis Wing who scores a lot of worldies, and they've also got another player in Charlie Savage who, when he scores worldies, and
But Reading have, as you've alluded to there with your chuckles,
thank you,
in the Championship era, had quite a few teams who outperformed their underlying numbers, some of whom took them all the way to the playoff final under Jaap Stam, but Ince's team, Jose Gomsh's team, some of the other managers who I'm forgetting. Wow. There were a number of situations where Reading were outperforming their underlying numbers, and generally I think it's fair to say that Reading fans enjoyed those teams doing well and didn't worry much about the underlying numbers. But I've seen quite a lot of negativity from Reading fans about this Liam Richardson team and about Liam Richardson's tenure so far. So I find that really interesting because I think what they're seeing, and from what I've seen, it's unhappiness about the start of play, basically not believing that they're a particularly good team, even though they're obviously winning half of their games under Richardson. I kind of understand that, yeah, they probably do know a good team when they see one, and maybe they don't think they are playing that well. But it's just funny to me that, like, previously I'd have thought Reading fans would be buzzing with a manager who's come in mid-season, picked a team up that were really poor under Noel Hunt, and has turned them into, results-wise, a top 4 team with a chance of making the playoffs after the last few seasons of existential threat. Feels like on an incredibly basic level, this can only be seen as a really positive thing for Reading right now. And yet, from what I've seen and understanding that social media is not always the best barometer, there's a bit of unease, a bit of unhappiness about the style of play and the way they go about things, and the fit really with Liam Richardson. So yeah, I guess I'd love to hear from some Reading fans who can break it all down for me. I hope it's coming across that I'm not being that critical, really. I kind of agree that I'm not sure Reading are as good maybe as their recent form suggests they are, but the wins have been achieved. They are there. They are on the cusp of the playoffs. It's an interesting situation to be in.
I'm on the Jose Gomes Wikipedia
I thought
page,
you might have been.
because I thought he even existed.
How is he?
Well, so he left Reading in October 2019.
Mm-hmm.
He's had 8 jobs since then.
Wow. Well done him.
Marashimo.
Yeah.
Almira. Al Tawun.
Yeah.
I think I'm bitten off more than I can chew here. Monteferradina.
Mm-hmm.
And back to Marishimo.
Lovely.
Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
Zamalek, where he did very well.
Great.
And he's now Al Fateh in Saudi.
What incredible... He's travelled the globe.
He has. What I really liked is he got sacked at Almira, despite the team sitting 3rd in the table. And according to Wikipedia, he received a standing ovation from his players in the dressing room after delivering his farewell speech.
Must have had poor underlying numbers.
Yeah.
Paunovic, there's another one.
Pauno.
All good stuff. So disappointing afternoon on the road for Bradford City. Back in Bradford City FC Community Foundation doing some amazing stuff in their local area. George, you went up a couple of weeks ago to check out the Way Forward programme that they're putting on. We've been across the country visiting teams, clubs there, club charities, club community trusts and foundations, and seeing a real varied breadth of programmes being delivered for differing reasons. Tell me about the Way Forward.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to go to these clubs and see the work they're doing. And in this case, it was no different. The Way Forward is a program aimed at young men. It's at the moment, the way of the world means that for some young men, it's quite difficult to find good role models. It's hard to find a way into employment. And the work that the guys are doing there in order to try and provide that to local guys who play football together, but are also provided with a lot more support than just the community support they're given to. So I spent the day up there. There was a game of football in the morning. We had some pizza, which I loved. And then Bobby Poynton and Matt Pennington, 2 Bradford players, came and spoke to the guys, and there was a prize giving. It was the first cohort of guys that had been through the program. It was their final session, and it was the new cohort's first session, which meant that they were able to chat about their experiences. And it became very obvious very, very quickly that the staff at the Bradford City AFC Community Foundation really care, and that they are having a significant impact on the lives of these guys as well. So it was great to talk to both Bobby and to Matt. Yeah, I think often with the kind of player and players get involved, the managers get involved in this stuff. It can be out of duty. It was certainly the case with Paul Mullen when we went to Wigan, that it was clear that he was very keen to be involved and wanted to help. It was exactly the same with Bobby and Matt, where they, Bobby's a local guy who, he pointed out in the stadium, the seat that he used to sit in as a season ticket holder. He clearly really cares about giving back to the community. This isn't the first time that he's kind of gone above and beyond in terms of doing this. And similar with Matt Pennington, who at other clubs in his career has helped with the endeavours of the foundations. He, speaking to him is really enlightening. He's incredibly eloquent and articulate in terms of talking about the need, or his experiences in terms of the need for young men to find decent role models and the impact that can have. So, yeah, spending the day there was amazing, as is always the case with this stuff. Whether this directly impacts you or not, hopefully this shows the amazing work that these clubs are doing. And it's been enlightening to me to understand how local people can be helped by their football clubs. So I would urge anyone who's struggling in any way to do some research, find out, even if you're not a fan, just find out what your local clubs are doing, because there might be something that might help you in terms of meeting people, finding friends, finding support, finding anything that you might need. Because, it's becoming very obvious whilst we're traveling around, just the number of people that are being, having their lives positively impacted by this stuff. And certainly the guys at Bradford are doing an amazing job in terms of doing that. And the Way Forward is an excellent program. And it's clear that, the people are going to continue to benefit from these, from the program. Yeah.
And the Way Forward was helped with a grant of £100,000 from the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. They've just awarded another group of grants over the last couple of weeks as well to club charities to support more diverse programs. And we're looking forward to telling you about them over the next couple of months. Just outside the playoff places, things got really tight because Stevenage beat Stockport, a team outside the playoff places, beating a team within them, just like Reading beating Bradford. Stevenage 2, Stockport 1, same scoreline as well, from behind as well. Sidibe, the new Stockport striker, a real threat in the first 20 minutes or so. 3 headers, scored the third one, put Stockport ahead. Great celebration as well, great energy from Sidibe, looked a massive threat. But then Stevenage came back into the game. Really, really impressive, actually. Hinchliffe dropped, unsurprisingly, after a really poor mistake against Burton in midweek. Another game that Stockport lost. Corey Adai coming in for him. Feels like they swap places every 15 games or so. And Adai did really well initially to keep one Piergiani header at bay, but from the resulting corner, there was Pidge again, getting first contact, heavy deflection, and in for 1-1. Stevenage are playing 3-5-2, and up front, Jamie Reid and Matt Phillips, who they signed only a couple of weeks ago and who's taken to life at Stevenage really, really well. They combined to win it. Reid scampering down the right-hand side and sending it across for Matt Phillips to finish smartly from close range. So Stevenage, I think it's fair to say, and I would certainly accuse myself of doing this, somewhat forgotten over the last couple of months, somewhat written off. To be clear, picked up very, very few points over quite a long period of time. but have quietly got over their big slump. Had that foundation from the start of the season, which gave them a lot of points to work with. Have now squeezed off 4 home wins in a row. They're actually 6th on PPG. They're above Reading. They're above Huddersfield on points per game. They've got games in hand. They've got opportunity here, Stevenage. And under Revel, we know they can have really good runs. We know they can have some bad runs as well. So basically, what will Stevenage's next 10, 11, 12 games look like? Because if they have one of their better runs, Stevenage could very, very easily be in the playoffs in League One. And they may drop off as well. March will be absolutely fascinating. Burton away, then home to Orient, 2 teams towards the bottom, then home to Wimbledon, then they travel to Argyle, host Reading, and travel to Bolton. So 3 games against bottom half teams, followed by 3 games against top half teams. Really, really, do not just forget Stevenage in this playoff battle. Stockport, 1 win in 5 for them. They need to be careful, quite frankly. Top 2 is gone now for them. And it's a disappointing month. No doubt about that, but the season is not over and they can't afford to get angry and to get tetchy and to start sniping because there's still probably a playoff campaign to be played, but they do need to be careful because, the ground is coming up to meet them, those teams outside the playoffs who won over the weekend. Huddersfield, George, they lost as well. They lost at Wigan Athletic. Caldwell starting well.
His first win? Yeah.
Second win.
His second win, of course.
Thank you very much.
2 1-0 home wins.
Yeah.
One against Luton, one against Huddersfield. So by no means easy fixtures, albeit Huddersfield really starting to struggle now. The kind of good little run under Liam Manning when he first joined. They weren't terrible here. They came closest to opening the scoring in the first half with Ryan Hardy hitting the post and Alfie May with a follow-up going close. But the goal when it came was a really good strike from Weir, from range. Jensen Year, ball falling to him from a set piece, and he managed to control it through the bodies into the bottom left-hand corner. And it was a decent display from Wigan. Like it looked like they've responded well to Caldwell early on. They were decent in that 4-2 defeat at Stockport whilst they had 11 men on the pitch, which obviously changed things when they had the first man sent off. But they needed an immediate reaction under the manager, and they've got it. And they now sit 19th with a point outside the playoffs, which I think is as good as they really could have hoped for. Huddersfield still have that 6th spot, but they're coming back to the pack pretty quickly, and they need to improve. It's just 1 win in their last 5 now, which after that good start isn't really good enough. And it's another manager who comes to a Huddersfield squad that obviously have a lot of individual talent, but can't seemingly find a way to make them consistently good. And that is an issue. So yeah, really disappointing result for them.
Yeah, well, Huddersfield in poor form, Stockport in poor form, Luton in poor form. It's great news for others. We talked about Stevenage already. We've talked about Reading. How about Wycombe? 3-0 winners at home to Burton. Boyd Muntz with an unbelievable strike to put them 1-0 up. It's almost like CGI, the trajectory of his strike, and he hits it with his left foot in such a way as to impart a lot of swerve on the ball for 1-0. Something must have happened to Collins in the Burton goal after that, because he's been pretty good for them, but the second one is a complete howler, just missing a regulation catch, and Luke Harris benefiting, and Nathan Lowe making it 3-0. And Wycombe, wow, they will go 6th if they win on Tuesday night. They are away to Barnsley. It is no gimme, but they're posting top 4 form over the last 12 games. They are currently a lot better, I would suggest, than 3 of the playoff teams. Their underlying numbers are strong. I'd probably pick them over Reading at this point. And I think they're in, really good nick. Clearly, Nathan Lowe was worth the wait. They signed him. He was injured. He couldn't play for a month. They didn't worry about that. Some questioned it. He's come into the team and he's added a lot at the top of the pitch. So now they've got Anya Dinmer and Woodrow and Nathan Lowe. It's just added to their options. Really, really worth keeping an eye on Wycombe. And I just feel like the whole League One playoff battle fascinating at the moment. The relegation battle's not bad either. George, we had a big winner down there this weekend. Rotherham won, Plymouth Argyle 0. This one going massively against the form book. And it is Sky Bet surprise.
Yes, yeah, Rotherham to win 0 was 9-2 with Sky Bet, and therefore is this week's Sky Bet surprise. It's interesting because coming into this, certainly there are issues at Argyle in terms of injuries. Laurent Talai, who is seemingly can't really stop getting injured, comes back, scores immediately, then gets injured again. He was out. Wiradoo was out as well, which weakens Argyle. But Rotherham came into this game we saw Matt Hamshaw, off the back of, I think, 4 consecutive defeats, change the shape again. We'd seen them be a team that played with 3 at the back for most of the season. They then reverted to a kind of 4-2-3-1. But here, it was a much more attacking formation with still a back 4, but just Yearwood playing at the base of midfield, and 3 more attacking players in front, and then 2 up front. So, from Hamshaw, this was an attempt from him to do what Rotherham really struggled to do a lot of this season, and actually start a game on the front foot, try and dominate and get ahead, and then keep going forward. And that's exactly what they did. This wasn't, normally when you've got a game like this where the outform team beats the informed team, when they go ahead, they sit on their lead, they look to frustrate. But it was actually Rotherham who at times continued to be the more threatening. The goal came after 7 minutes through Rafferty as he kind of diverted a strike from range into the goal, a really clever little flick. And after that, we saw Rotherham have a fair few chances. In particular, Nombe had one that just went past the posts. Of course, Argyle, who are bang in form, had some decent opportunities themselves. Peppel looked at a real danger. But when called upon, Ted Can, the Rotherham keeper, made 4 really good saves and was impressive on the day. And it felt like a game where the players who should be big players for Rotherham kind of stood up and really, in a way we haven't necessarily seen much this season, put in the performances that Rotherham fans have been waiting for. Yearwood in particular was excellent, was everywhere, and I think that holding midfield role is one that will really suit him. Rafferty should be a big senior player for them, scored the goal and then was brilliant defensively. Baptiste as well, and Zach Jules, when he came off the bench after half an hour or so due to an injury, was also very impressive. We've got to talk about Harry Gray, who is a 17-year-old, the younger brother of Archie Gray on loan from Leeds, who just looks like a massive prospect. A 17-year-old being thrust into a League One relegation battle was a pretty brave call for Leeds to make in terms of whether they were going to play someone as first loan. But he looks technically way above the level. And for a player of his age to be getting stuck in the way he is a testament to him. And I think there are going to be a lot of clubs who are going to be wanting him for next season if they do loan him out again. And then Nombe, despite not scoring, often when Rotherham are at their best, it's because Nombe scores goals, whereas here he was leading the line really effectively. He didn't get on the score sheet, but was still a massive player. And then Duncan Watmore, who came in a few weeks ago, carrying a big threat out wide too. So personnel better, the shape seemed to work really well. They were the better team. They could have scored more once they went ahead. And Ashby Hammond of Argyle had to make a couple of really big saves too. So across the team, this is the kind of performance that Rotherham will need to put in more of if they're going to stay up. And this should be a very good springboard for them to mount their survival bid. And then Orient at home to Barnsley off the back of a 2-1 win at Northampton. Like, can they follow that up with a home win against a Barnsley side who, seem to blow hot and cold? No. Dave McGoldrick is loving life, being Barnsley's main man. You take out, as we said, DK Davis, Keylor Dunn. In hindsight, having Keylor Dunn and McGoldrick in the same team, you can understand why that might not work, given the similarity of certainly of their kind of shooting profiles and the way where they like to take shots and where they like to play. Different players kind of outside of their goal scoring attempts, but McGoldrick, certainly in brilliant form, and his 3 goals here, and he could have had another one, all really well taken. Should be such a massive player for them, and showing that, despite being 38 years old, he is still very, very capable of playing 90 minutes, of scoring goals in games and playing a lot of games too. Just incredible what he continues to do. He was very good. Orient scored their goal through a free kick from Levitt, which really caught out Goodman in the Barnsley goal. But apart from that, Orient weren't great. They really struggled to live with McGoldrick. They struggled to create too much themselves. Forrester had a goal that was disallowed at 1-1, which obviously would have changed things. But having had that big win against Northampton, I think Richie Wellens will be really frustrated that his team weren't able to do more here, and the ease with which McGoldrick was able to find the back of the net. So huge frustration for them. Big result for Barnsley, and big result for Conor Harrahan in terms of maintaining some decent form, because as we keep saying, they've got so many games in hand that they actually are still in this playoff race, even though they're in 13th.
They're 10th on PPG,
yeah.
13th in league position. And in McGoldrick, wow. The oldest player to score a hat-trick in England's top 4 tiers since Jamie Curitan for Dagon Red, April 2015. 3 draws, Mansfield 2, Wimbledon 2, 30 shots in the game, entertaining stuff. Split almost evenly. Russell put Mansfield ahead twice with some really nice sort of central midfield, attacking play, breaking forward from midfield and finishing nicely twice. Tilly scored from range, snuck one inside the near post for Wimbledon, and then Marcus Brown won a penalty that Matty Stevens scored, a big chance near the end for Reece Oates, but he rolled it wide. Good fun, and probably a good point for Wimbledon. Mansfield's lack of wins continues. Northampton won, Posh won in the derby. Great centre-forwards header from Tom Eaves put Northampton ahead, but Jimmy J. Morgan cancelled it out, and it was actually Cobblers that had big chances to win it, trying to stop their poor form, but no luck. For Kevin Nolan and for them, I guess it was most important not to lose, as they have done in recent home games, and they've been met by loud boos on both occasions. Here, they finished the stronger, but they didn't get over the line and get the win. Now, for Cobblers, they're obviously right up against it in the relegation zone. They still have Burton, Doncaster and Wigan to come at home. So there is still hope on that front. They've got Mansfield and Wimbledon, bottom half teams away from home. The rest of their games against top half teams, I mean, it seems so unlikely that Northampton get anything from those games because they've been so poor over the last couple of months. Peterborough, 4 without a win now, unlikely to make the playoffs, you have to say, unless they can put together another big run. And then Port Vale won, Luton won. Luton showing what they can do with a lovely opening goal, finished off by Wells, but just a great move down the left. Lawrence involved, but they don't do it often enough. Frankly, Ben Waine finishing 1-on-1, ball over the top from Hall, finished off nicely. So Vale, still 10 points to make up. They've still got those games in hand. Perhaps unhelpfully, they've still got an FA Cup game to play on Tuesday against Bristol City. They've got 6 points in their last 5. They've got 9 points in their last 7. It's better. It's still not enough for any miracle survival under John Brady. As for Luton, 9 away games. Without a win, 2 points in their last 9 away games is really poor. They've got Reading and Wycombe in their next 3 who are around them outside the playoffs looking in. Very different directions of travel and form to those 2 teams right now. So it'd be really interesting to see how Luton stack up against those 2 teams over the next couple of weeks. That's it for League One. What a brilliant weekend it was. Great league it's shaping up to be as we go into the last 10, 12 games or so. You can follow it all on NTT20 Pod. And if you like the Championship, if you like League 2, we've got episodes breaking down their weekends as well, wherever you listen to or watch this one. Cheers. Go well.